Good morning and welcome to Daily Red Devil for all of your latest Manchester United transfer news and talk. Before we start today's stream, if you are watching for the first time, please do subscribe, bottom right hand corner. We are literally now only 2 subscribers away from 43,000. So please go and subscribe. Let's make sure we hit that next milestone by the end of today. So on the show this morning, we're going to be talking about Viktor Gyökeres with the president of Sporting Lisbon coming out and doing an interview explaining how much the transfer fee is going to cost. All sorts of really interesting news. We're also going to be talking about Bryan Mbeumo. Apparently the deal to be done this week, July the 1st is the date that we're hearing because of this the PSR period restarting again. So the new date for PSR is July the 1st, where effectively it begins again the next period. So we'll be talking about that. We're also going to be talking about some outgoings as well. We're going to be talking about Rashford, about Garnacho, about Sancho, all of the usual stuff. And as always, I like to start my shows off by asking you, the audience, your thoughts. Now, the question I have for you this morning is kind of a bit more of a forward-thinking type question. Do we think Manchester United will sign any more players after Bryan Mbeumo, or do we think we need to sell in order to then buy? Let me know your thoughts. I think there's quite a lot of people in the fan base at the moment scratching their heads saying, where are we going to get the money from if Garnacho hangs around? Rashford seems to be hanging around at the moment. Sancho's hanging around. The outgoings aren't really moving very fast, are they? I mean, what's happening with Højlund? Is Onana staying? There's so many questions here. What will happen? Can we still afford players? We'll have spent 62.5 million on Cunha, and it looks like it's going to be about the same type of money for Bryan Mbeumo. So it's going to be what, 130 million roughly, 125 million, 125 million on 2 players. I don't know the answer. I want to get your thoughts. Can we buy any more players after that without having to sell? But anyway, let's start the show off today by talking about Viktor Gyökeres, shall we? So this was really interesting, actually. Viktor Gyökeres, obviously, we know what's going on with Viktor Gyökeres. We know that Manchester United are interested. We know that Arsenal are interested. And we know that Arsenal at the moment are deciding whether they're going to go for Gyökeres or Sesko. So the Sporting Lisbon president, Federico Varandas, did an interview yesterday, and this was his exact words. He says, there is a strong chance that Viktor Gyökeres will leave. Okay, that's obvious. He says, I'm not going to tell you what the value is. The player knows what his value is. I can say that Viktor Gyökeres will not leave for 60 million plus 10 million euros in add-ons. He says he won't leave. He absolutely won't leave. He then goes on to say, in recent weeks, we have been paying close attention to the market. I saw a player named Zubimendi, who was 6 months younger than Viktor, leave for 65 million euros. And then I saw Matheus Cunha go to Manchester United for around 75 million euros. I mean, effectively what this guy's saying is, because other players have gone for more money, Gyökeres should go for more money. But I actually disagree with this, to be honest, because my reasoning's this. First of all, supposedly there was this gentleman's agreement which said that Gyökeres could leave for 60 million in the summer, right? Who knows what's happened to that? That's part one. But the most important part is, how can you compare Gyökeres to Matheus Cunha? You just can't. Matheus Cunha is Premier League proven. How many goals did he get last season? Was it 20 goals in all competitions? And that was mainly in the Premier League. The best league in the world, the hardest league in the world, playing for a team who nearly got relegated. And he's 2 years younger. So Premier League proven, 2 years younger, going to another Premier League side from a Premier League side. So 75 million euros, I mean, that's justifiable, right? Whereas if you look at Viktor Gyökeres, he's playing in Portugal, where we saw 2 or 3 years ago, Darwin Núñez moved from the Portuguese league to the Premier League for 100 million, and we know how bad he's been. Now, I'm not saying that Darwin Núñez is as good as Viktor Gyökeres. I don't think he is, and I think that Viktor Gyökeres' stats in Portugal have been way better than what Darwin Núñez was doing in Portugal. But still, you get the point I'm making here. Gyökeres has only really ever succeeded in the Portuguese league. He played for Coventry. He was okay in the Championship, but that's the Championship. He was at Brighton for 2 or 3 years. He didn't even play once in the Premier League. He's only now in the Portuguese league, where we've done this. Look, we've done this research before, right? There's only like 3 teams in Portugal, maybe 4, who have a squad value of more than 20 million euros. Most of the teams in Portugal, their whole entire squad, every single player combined, is worth less than 20 million euros. And to give that some comparison, that's the equivalent of like League One teams in England. So not even the Championship, below the Championship, by way of squad value, i.e. the quality of players. So at the moment, most of his goals are coming against teams that are realistically the equivalent of teams at the top of League One. I mean, if you look at the League One teams in League One, right? Let's have a look. I mean, Birmingham. I reckon Birmingham would probably beat most teams in the Portuguese league, bar like Benfica and Sporting and a couple of others. Wrexham, they'd probably give most teams in the Portuguese league a good game. These are all League One sides in England, you know? Like Charlton, Bolton, all these teams that historically have been almost like Premier League teams and obviously have fallen down. But the point I'm making here is you can't compare a player going from Wolves in the Premier League to Manchester United in the Premier League with Gyökeres. And I think realistically, the defining argument of this topic is Darwin Núñez. Liverpool paid 100 million for Darwin Núñez. Darwin Núñez was a good player in Portugal, right? Would we agree? If you look at his goals and assists in Portugal, he was a good player. And they paid Benfica 85 million euros for him. No club is going to want to pay 85 million or 80 million euros for Viktor Gyökeres. Because I think, realistically, Darwin Núñez almost haunts this situation. Because you look at his stats in Portugal, right? Darwin Núñez, in the season before he moved to Liverpool, got 26 goals in 28 matches in Portugal. He comes to the Premier League. Let's have a look. In his first season in the Premier League, he got 9 goals. So what's that? Like a quarter of the amount of goals he got in Portugal. In his second season in England, he got 11 goals. So less than half of what he got in Portugal. In 10 more games. And this season, he's played 30 games for Liverpool and he scored 5 goals. Do you see my point here? So I don't really understand what the Sporting Lisbon president thinks he's talking about. He clearly doesn't know football, because if he thinks that just because Matheus Cunha went for more, that he should go for more, it's just stupid. It's a stupid argument. Yeah, so I disagree with what he's saying. I think 60 million plus 10 million in add-ons is still 70 million euros. It's a lot of money. And I think if he wants to get Gyökeres out of the club, which, whether he likes it or not, Gyökeres is going to force a move, he needs to be a little bit more sensible here. But, I mean, it is still early on in the transfer window. There's plenty of time still left to go. There's plenty of time still left to go in this window. We can definitely still get these players that we're after, but I do think that, whilst the fees are so high at the moment, that's why Man United aren't pulling the trigger. And realistically as well, the fact that Arsenal are effectively just deciding whether they want to do the deal or not is kind of mad, isn't it? They're just effectively like, oh, we may or may not want to do the deal. We'll have a think about it. And we'll go from there, So, yeah, I don't know. I'm a little bit torn about what's going to happen here. I still would like Gyökeres. I'm not one of those people who's like, oh, he wants Arsenal, so I don't want him. I don't care whether he wants Arsenal or not. If we can get him, we'll get him. But it is just a little bit frustrating. The pre-season tour starts a week today. Sorry, the pre-season training camp starts a week today. The tour is what? It's soon though, isn't it, the tour? Let's have a look. I know we play, is it Leeds in Denmark or something? Yeah, the 19th of July. It's like 2 weeks until the pre-season, first game of pre-season. And our first Premier League game is literally in like 6 weeks from now. And it's not just about getting players through the door. It's about giving Ruben Amorim like a whole long period to train his players and to get them understanding what he wants from them, because I still don't think they understand what he's expecting or what he wants. So, yeah, it's a little bit frustrating, but, I mean, it's kind of to be expected. Okay, let's move over to Bryan Mbeumo. We all know what's going on with Mbeumo. 2 bids have been rejected. Brentford wants 62.5 million. Manchester United are tiptoeing around, giving 50 million here, plus 5, plus 6, and it's just like, you're not going to get the deal done doing that. You need to give them the money they want. They want 62.5 million. Either give them the money or walk away. I do think this deal will happen. Obviously, it is incredibly frustrating. I appreciate that. And I know a lot of people are like sick to death of talking about Bryan Mbeumo and just want the player to come in. But that's just how it is when you support Man United, unfortunately. I feel like this one will happen. It's just a case of Man United giving Brentford what they want, which is 62.5 up front. Whether they'll do it or not, we'll wait and see. But I would be stunned if they don't sign him now. I'd be absolutely stunned. There's no reason for them not to sign him now. They clearly want the player. They've agreed wages. The player wants to come to Manchester United. Pre-season starts a week today. They need him in for that. At least then you'll have your new attacking line ready for the pre-season and we can kind of go from there. So, yeah, we'll see. We'll see how it goes. But at the moment, it's just a case of waiting it out and seeing how long this deal takes. Right, let's see what else we've got to talk about today. I mean, the problem is as well, right, the transfer window started with loads and loads of news, and now it's kind of just like dropped off the face of a cliff a bit. It's gone really, really quiet. I think it's probably because the players are on holiday, and I think once they all come back, which is a week today, I feel like news probably will start coming out a little bit more. But yeah, at the moment, it is just getting a little bit frustrating. It's getting a little bit samey. I guess we've just got to be patient, but yeah. Anyway, I'm going to wrap the video up here, guys. I'm not going to ramble on too long if there's not that much to talk about. Obviously, we've spoke about the two big topics. Get your comments in. If you have any topics, if you have any topics that you would like us to discuss, then get in the comment section. Always happy to, bring other ideas into the show. So if you do have any topics you would like to discuss, get in the comment section and let me know. Have an amazing day, everybody. Don't forget to drop a like. And as I said, if you are watching for the first time today, don't forget to subscribe on your way out. We are literally, as I'm watching now, 1 subscriber away from 43k. So yeah, please do subscribe if you're new. Let's get to 43k. Next milestone for the channel. And I'll speak to you all on the next one. Hopefully we get some good news today. Hopefully we get a here we go. Hopefully something happens. Have a great one, everybody. Enjoy your Mondays, and I'll speak to you all later.